How a Stupid Bard Split the Party. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. Before we get into the video, I'd like to wish every one of you a Merry Christmas. Holidays are always fun times, as we get to spend time with our families. This is our second Christmas year on YouTube, and we're so happy to celebrate this occasion with all of you, our YouTube family. I hope you all are having fun. Stay blessed. Now getting back to the video. Why is it always the Bard? Find out why you should never split the party, especially when you have a man-child caster with wild magic sneezes. Let me preface this by saying this was all our Bard's fault. It was only because of him that I was separated from the group and running from the guards by myself. He wanted us all to meet up with scouts on a nearby mountaintop to see if the pharaoh of a nearby Egyptian-themed city that was our previous home base had been possessed by demons that were corrupting several neighboring tribes. The fighters stayed behind, wanting to make sure our absentee ranger took over our shiny new orc horde properly, after we supplanted its previous warlock chieftain in a not-so-fair fight. She also argued that the scouts would report back to us soon anyway, so there was really no point. I, as a player, agreed, but my man-child sorcerer was bored as hell, politicking, and decided to come along on the game to split the party. Now, when I say that my half-elf sorcerer was a man-child, I mean that literally. Before the game started, I spent a lot of time looking at the Wild Magic Surge table and thinking about what the life of someone who could accidentally explode everything around him would be like. I decided that he's currently only 9 years old, but aged himself up to 18 physically, while still maintaining the mind and outlook of a child in a young adult's body. His main desire for leaving home was to find a way to turn himself back and to cure a wooden ball he carries around and is convinced is his polymorphed father. For extra fun, I decided that his surges were tied to his sneezes, with any random sneeze leading to insane effects, such as instantly roasting a giant eagle he teleported onto the back of. I even bought what was supposed to be a 100-sided die online, but I clearly didn't read the descriptions properly, as that huge hunk of metal only had 60 sides. Since the vanilla Wild Magic table only has 50 results anyway, the DM allowed me to add some of my own. Back to the story. It turns out the Bard wasn't satisfied taking a mountaintop view of the city. Why would he? The guy inspired us through economics lectures. So the two of us and an NPC soldier we adopted, the closest thing to a tank we had, scouted the top of the mountain. That lasted about 5 seconds. In short time, we made our way down the mountain, through the city gates and into the city proper, and eventually sneaking into the palace itself. I pointed out several times how pissed Miss Tiefling Fighter was going to be if we didn't come back soon, and also tried hinting to the Bard that we really should not engage by ourselves. But economist Bard assured me he was an adult and could get us out of any situation. One well-laid plan later, he got captured while I escaped by myself. Well, okay, not completely by myself. I was with the soldier NPC, but I abandoned him almost immediately. We holed up for a night in a store. At this point, I was convinced that the pharaoh was possessed, and I had to get back to my friends at the orc stronghold by any means necessary. From there, we could mount a daring rescue attempt to save our stupid Bard. The DM told me to roll a perception check, which I failed, but decided to give myself up to my Tides of Chaos ability to re-roll that check and realize we were surrounded. A bargain that would soon bite me in the butt. Seeing no other options, I apologized to our NPC friend and teleported away. I teleported to a nearby rooftop and was almost at the city gates when the DM decided to return to me what I sowed for my careless use of Tides of Chaos. She declared I gave a loud echoing sneeze, heard throughout the district, and told me to roll my sneeze die. I dramatically held the metal D60 up to my nose and pretended to sneeze, letting it fall. 39. A creature near you becomes poisoned for 1d4 hours. Not satisfied, the DM declared that I had activated this effect too recently, when it helped us defeat the orc chieftain, and that I should roll again. This time, the metal behemoth comes up as a 1. The table is quiet, as the DM declares I burst into a full-on sneezing fit. The guards heard my first sneeze, and came out to surround me right as I let loose a second, and began floating without any means to control it. I tried teleporting again, to grab a hold of some barrels in the alley to weigh me down. 2 more sneezes, and the barrels first catch on fire, and then are brought to life in that order. They begin rolling around in a panic, desperate to put the flames out. If they had mouths, I'm sure they'd be screaming. Floating up again when a 5th sneeze lets me understand the chirping of a bird, asking why I'm up there. I try asking it to help me out, but it declares that I have to learn to fly on my own. Another sneeze and I can begin to feel my body shrinking. I'm becoming a kid again. Not as young as I'm supposed to be, as I'm only reduced to 13, while still maintaining my 9-year-old mind, but it was a lot better than the previous 18. Maybe now I'll actually have time to adjust to puberty. Sensing my change in mood, the very scared guards decide to talk me down. At this point, with both the DM and my own wild magic working against me, I decide to fold and tell the guards I'd love to be captured and to wait a minute for both my telekinesis to wear off and then a couple more seconds for the burning hands to also subside. It's at this moment I sneeze again and roll a 57. One of the new effects I created for the D60. I swapped bodies with someone within 30 feet of me for the next minute. I created this effect with the intent to royally screw up any combat it was used in. Instead, it meant I was now once again in an adult body. More specifically, the body of an Egyptian-style guard, with a floating magical half-elf child, with flaming hands screaming at a bird right above me. This guard is gonna need therapy. But that's not the end. I had one sneeze left, which the DM declares comes from the body I'm currently inhabiting. I rolled one last time, and let out the most normal sneeze in my sorcerer's young life. Nothing happens, at least not in that moment. The real guard begins to float down, and is quickly arrested by the others, who still aren't aware of why he's screaming. It's me, Amos! At least for another 50 seconds, before I return to my newly rejuvenated body, where I'm only happy to be turned in. Rightfully so too, because as it turns out, the pharaoh wasn't possessed, and the bard had been spending this entire time in a luxury spa. After my arrest, I saw a visibly shaken Amos, stumbled away from the rest of the guards. The DM informed the guard is headed to the ancient Egyptian bar to get absolutely hammered, except no matter how much he drinks, he doesn't feel any different. Turns out my last sneeze made him immune to alcohol for the next week. We all laugh, and the players who'd been sidelined take turns describing the adventures of the newly traumatized Amos, and his rise to become the best drinker in all of Not Egypt. So maybe the bard wasn't so stupid after all? It's always fun to have a unique interaction with spells, based on a character's backstory. Do you feel like the DM should have made him re-roll on the wild magic table? Maybe it was just me, but it felt a little out of line, because the effect wasn't bad or good enough. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel All Things D&D. Our next video will be posted in 3 days, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.